Oh, hey, it's finally out. Hello everybody, Ace here, and welcome back to another episode of my Honest Review series. I wanted to get this one out quick, as this DLC will be a hot topic for a while. Hopefully the quickness of this release won't fiddle with the quality of the video, but I tried to get this one out fast for y'all. For this episode of Honest Reviews, we will start covering the recently released Elden Ring DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree. I'll be releasing multiple episodes over this DLC, as it's way too big to try to fit into one video. I'm really not trying to have a video with a runtime of 8 hours. So, this episode will just feature my first impressions of the start of the DLC, as well as the first legacy dungeon, Belurat, the Tower Settlement. Let's hop right into it. So, in order to even access the DLC, you first have to buy it.
A small price to pay for salvation.
No, for real. To access this DLC, you'll need to have defeated Mohg from the base game. Luckily, I had a save on my PS5 where I had already done everything the base game had to offer, so I just loaded that bad boy up, and found myself already in Mohg's palace. Looks like I couldn't wait. There's this weird NPC here we can talk to who tells us to touch the hand of Miquella. If you don't know who Miquella is, oh boy, this DLC will make sure you know of him. This DLC story is based around the demigod's disappearance. I'm sure VaatiVidya has a video discussing the lore behind Miquella, so I'll redirect you to him if you're interested in touching up your Elden Ring lore, mainly because I don't have the time to explain everything. We just need to touch his hand. And we're already here? No badass intro cutscene? Oh well, this will do. Even the best From Software DLCs didn't have an intro cutscene, so my hopes are still high. We can step out of this cave and, oh my god, this place is gorgeous. The first ever teaser image for this DLC featured this location, so seeing it now in the game is just so satisfying. Our first sight is the view of the burnt version of the Erdtree, which, it means we're in a different time period? I don't know, don't count me on that. The colors of the warm and looming sky and these towering locations hovering over you, awaiting your arrival, is very noticeable during your first steps into the gravesite plain. We can find the map for this region over here next to the Scorched Ruins, which features some minor shadow wanderers who definitely gave me a false sense of security for this DLC. You want to know what I mean? Well, if you head west from the Scorched Ruins and take out this bird thingy, you'll come across phantom-like tentacles sprouting out from the ground. I didn't see any purpose of taking them out, but who knows, there's probably a secret behind killing every single one, because From Software would do that, wouldn't they? Here is the Western Nameless Mausoleum. Huh, boss gate already? This shouldn't be too bad. Whoa, buddy, calm down. Calm down. I said calm down, jeez. I died to this guy like way too many times. Around 20 plus, I don't know, I lost count. Of course, I'm gonna blame it on my rustiness as I haven't touched this game in almost a year or so. So, I was still swinging around my weapon like a madman and rediscovering that there's a jump button in this game during this episode. So, for now, we'll come back to this place later. Just like the tree sentinel from the base game, I'll be back. Heading north from the Scorched Ruins, we can find a colossal scorched metal giant thing that is way too powerful to even try to take out now, so we just ran on by him. And here we can find our first of Miquella's crosses, which has a scowled tree fragment next to it on the ground. By the time I'm recording this script, I haven't fully completed the DLC yet, so I don't know the implication and lore of these crosses yet. But from what we can pick up currently, it seems Miquella leaves something of his behind at each cross. Whether that be his flesh at this one, or a whole arm at another one. Yeah, okay. He leaves something important of his behind. These scowled tree fragments are our way of leveling up in this DLC, as you can see from this more than helpful pop-up image. We went ahead and talked to these two NPCs. Well, not before that metal fire giant thing we ran from pops in to remind us we're playing Elden Ring and enemies will follow you to the edge of the universe. So we rested at the site of grace first. Man, this guy doesn't seem to like us. But hey, he gave us a helpful map, locating some more of Miquella's crosses. This other NPC is more receptive, I guess. It seems Lady Leda is the ringleader for a lot of the friendly NPCs in the Shadow Realm. I think this won't be important to note for later, I have no clue yet. For now, we need to head through this giant entryway here to reach our next grace and cross. Whoa, this place is tall. Here we can rest at this side of grace and talk to these other friendly NPCs. Right here is Ansbach. It's interesting to note how him and Freya introduced themselves, as they both were under previous demigods we killed in the base game. Freya says she used to fight with Radahn, and Ansbach used to be under Mohg's reign of blood flame terror. The NPCs also refer to Miquella as Kindly Miquella. I'm not an expert on Elden Ring lore, so I don't know if this is new, but hey, it piqued my interest a bit. Ansbach tells us to let him know if we find more of Miquella's crosses. You know, because we're always sent to do the dirty work. Anyways, this guy's nice. He's a timid-speaking trader who has a slight stutter and likes to keep things short. Lovable sort of head. Yes, indeed. I don't see why you would have a reason to hate him currently. We need to trot up this grand staircase to make way into Belurat. My fear of anything that has more than 2 legs and counts as an insect really made me jump out of my seat here. These scorpion things are scary, but not too hard to take out. Here we can find our first revered spirit ash, which the pop-up here explains what it does. It's important to note that these Shadow Realm upgrades are only active while in the Shadow Realm, so that's a cool way to balance out a DLC, I guess. We exterminate more of these scorpion things, and finally get the locations pop up for Belurat, the tower settlement. Belurat is a really, really sweet location, and a great first legacy dungeon of the DLC. You have these shadow warriors that like to jump out and surprise attack you, and boy, they do some heavy damage. They're littered all over the location, so get used to it. This area itself reminds me of a smaller version of Leyendell. You're able to explore the rooftops and jump roof to roof. There's a lot of cracked road paths that leads you to royal warriors that are tough to take out even in a 1v1 setting. The poisonous pools of poison gives an atmosphere of dread, and so does waltzing around the location and seeing all of the warriors and nobles doomed to the Shadow Realm. For being the settlement below the Tower of Shadows, it does a great job giving off such a dark and dreadful atmosphere. The area is also pretty intricately made and has a lot to do, so let's dive right into it. These darn mages here shoot spells at you while you attempt to navigate and capture the souls of these poor unfortunate shadow people. We can later get our revenge on these mages next to this side of Grace here. Right here's the moment where I realized, oh yeah, you can jump in this game. I've been playing too much Dark Souls 1 recently. This means we can explore the rooftop areas up here. This message genuinely made me laugh. Thank gosh for this Grace here, because this next enemy we come across is not easy. This is a horned warrior, and boy, his attack patterns are almost impossible to dodge, it feels like. This is the first extremely hard enemy from this location. Yes, there are a few more sadly, but it's a From Software DLC, what did you expect? If you take out this guy and head left from this point, you can progress through the rest of the dungeon. But if you head right, you'll encounter an invader named Fire Knight Quilleen, who seems to be a lackey of Mesmer, who we'll learn is probably the main antagonist of the DLC later on. We died to them once due to carelessness, and a homing fireball ransacking our insides. But on the second try, we easily take out this invader, and receive the Crusade Insignia Talisman. Let's go ahead and keep progressing now. Up this ladder here, we can find a key to the storeroom, which we'll definitely need to access later to get a unique incantation. We can do some more roof hopping and fight more of the bird thingies we encountered earlier. And we can proudly get clapped by another variant of the Horned Warrior. Like, what? How am I supposed to dodge that? Now, up this ladder again, we can do some careful jumping and find a sneaky hidden key to the well depths area, a secret area we'll go through later. And the message is telling us to seek left, deemed pretty useful, as this will lead us to a shortcut of the area, leading us back down to the main Grace of the location. Here, after taking out the mini baby scorpions, we can head right and, oh, big jump scare. More fucking bugs, just what this scared little man needs in his life. These flies are just annoying, and they always come in abundance, so do not underestimate them. They can spit poisonous balls at you that can inflict the poison status effect instantly, so just be on the lookout for them about to hurl up. The animation for it isn't that subtle. And here's another one of Miquella's crosses, as well as another Scout Tree fragment. Apparently Miquella left an arm here? Huh, that's sweet, just like his sister. I still have nightmares about you, Melania. Here we can find another talisman called a dried bouquet. Cool, I guess, I don't know, it doesn't seem too useful. Now we can go to this big room and, shocker, there's a big enemy here. And that's a grab attack. Nice. And there's two. Yippee, Elden Ring DLC. In all honesty, these guys don't have much health, but for some odd reason, I got my butt kicked by them. Oh yeah, and here's a bone bow. Finally, a new weapon. I noticed this poison yellow gunk area down here, and how I haven't explored it yet. So I decided to jump down and conquer the gunky area by squashing the scummy flies and stripping them of their fly mold. This one almost got me with its grab attack, but I learned from the last time. Just roll out of the way, damn it, it's not that hard. We can climb up this ladder and find ourselves behind where that Horned Warrior massacred us earlier, so sweet, we can skip that fight. I like this section a lot. It kept me on my toes and making sure I had quick feet while fighting the big shadow boys. Here's another revered spirit ash, and here's another tough enemy from this location. This acrobatic fuck is quite agile and quite annoying. I died to him a good amount of times, but learning his attacks and how undodgeable they feel at some points was somewhat fun, I guess. After defeating him, he gave us his ankle guards as a reward, and we come across another Grace called Stagefront. We could go through this door right now, or we could just explore everything else because this clearly will be a boss fight. So, let's put those two keys we found to good use and finish exploring Belurat. First, we'll explore the well depths, which are down this well. Yeah, it's down the well. This leads us to everyone's favorite type of area, a poison swamp. If we head this way, we can come across everyone's favorite mini-boss, a tree spirit. It killed me the first time, but I used my mimic tier to slaughter it the second, because I hate these damn fights. Your reward for taking out this annoying, poisonous monstrosity is another talisman. Woohoo! This one being a horn charm plus 2. You can tell from my sarcasm that I hate this area, but it's fine because we were doomed to have at least one poison area in this DLC according to Miyazaki. This might not even be the only poison area. Who knows, I haven't played through the rest of the DLC yet. Over yonder we can fight some more bugs, and another one of these horned warriors. Sadly, we got ambushed by some more flies while trying to fight this thing, so this fight was way more intense than it should have been. That, combined with being stuck on a poison for a majority of the fight, made this very intense. To be honest, I'm all for it. Killing this warrior will actually give us something useful, a new weapon. And this weapon is actually sick. It's the Horned Warrior's sword, and if you two-hand this thing, you get to dual-wield swords just like the warrior you fought. The special Ash of War is this attack that these punks use on you if you're too far, and boy does this do damage. These swords are actually very solid, and I only have 16 points in dex, which is what it primarily scales with. This is a pretty good early DLC weapon choice, and it's one I will no doubt be using next episode. There's also a poisoned hand here, a fist weapon that does a good amount of poison damage. I think it's important to know right here that this DLC adds new weapon types. Like, they have their own new animations, and most of them are sick. I am very excited to try out a lot of these, and not be stuck to the Blasphemous Blade this whole playthrough. Once we're done here, we can climb this ladder and activate a shortcut back to the First Grace. Now we just need to go back up here, use the storeroom key, and access this NPC who automatically believes we're working under Mesmer's orders. Okay, not a great first impression, but we'll be back later. I think that's everything I want to explore for this video, so let's go ahead and finally fight this boss.
O horn-decked beast from higher sphere delivered, take root inside the tower's sculpted keepers, and perched within, we beg of thee, rise. Dance of wood, cleanse all, cruelty, woe, and those who plague the tower. Cleanse away the strumpet's fire.
Nah man, I saw this trailer, and this boss had me trembling in my booties. The Divine Beast Dancing Lion has such a sick design, in its model itself, its attacks, and even in the way it moves. It's just so graceful. It's not graceful like the Dancer of the Boreal Valley from DS3, but it's an aggressive sort of graceful. This boss is not easy at all. It took me multiple tries to learn its attack patterns and learn the animations to know when to even dodge, or when I could even try to attack. I still don't have the boss fully learnt, due to me using the Mimic Tier to help me kill it since I was on a deadline, and the Mimic Tier is a goddamn cheat code. But I still had a fun time doing this boss, even if I died, and died, and died even more. There are like 5 phases this boss goes through, all giving the boss different elements to attack with and altering the original phase's attacks. Take for example this lightning phase right here. These lightning bolts spawn on the ground after every attack of his. So now you have to add dodging those on top of dodging the boss's attacks in itself. I'll let this final fight play out, as I think it's very entertaining to watch this fight and not have to suffer through me attempting to explain every single thing the boss does. A legend has felled, and we get the Remembrance of the Dancing Lion. This Remembrance allows you to trade it in to get a talisman that allows you to boost the potency of storms. Okay, not that useful. But you also have the choice to get an Ash of War that's basically Hoarfrost Stomp on steroids. I chose the latter and tested it out, and yeah, it's pretty solid. That's all I can say about it. Don't forget to pick up the Divine Beast's head right here. Yeah, it may be a silly gargantuan looking headpiece, and acts as more of a trophy, but we'll need it for later. We can use this grace here to rest, and we can go up this elevator to get a better view of the Tower of Shadow. Right here we can grab a Revered Spirit Ash, and if we climb up the stairs, we realize we can't enter the tower right now, but there is a note guiding us to follow Michaela's crosses out east. So, this head. If we go back to Hornsent Grandam in the storage room and try to talk to her, she'll be unresponsive. However, if we speak to her with the Divine Beast's head on, this is what happens.
Oh, such a joy to smell the scent again. Does a sculpted keeper stand before me? Oh, as I felt the sacred beast's essence fade, a great anxiety welled up within. Forgive this old woman her foolish fears. 'Tis such relief I cannot express. After an eternity of the mind, our voices have at last reached the heavens, as evinced by thy gracious arrival. Oh, oh, oh. I implore, vessel of the sacred beast, have my son accompany thee to war, and dance thy dance of beauteous color. Take vengeance upon Mesmerity's lot. They who betrayed us, aye, they who burned us, let them face in thy wrath their just deserts. My song will I sing in service to thee.
Ta-da! New incantation. This one's alright. It just spawns a skull on top of your head that lasts for what feels like 2 seconds. And this skull can spit out projectiles at the enemy you're fighting, but I found it kind of misses like 90% of the time. But yeah, that's basically it for Belurat. I know of the Belurat Everjail area over here, but I won't be covering that this episode. Maybe a future one for now. With the walkthrough of this area now done, let's move on to a quick, honest review. For the Legacy Dungeons of the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, this is the criteria I will be reviewing it with. Number 1, the gameplay. Number 2, the level design and environment. Number 3, the enemies and the boss. And number 4, the loot. The ranks I'll give each category include the following. We have bad, okay, good, great, amazing, and perfect. Let us start by reviewing the gameplay. It's easy to make a fun to play through dungeon due to Elden Ring's gameplay being superb. So, is that the case with Belurat? Yes, it is. I had a great time going through here, but yet at the same time, you have to take into account the stupid poisonous swamp area. But luckily that's optional, and you're not forced to go through it. Still, making my way through the tattered and withered settlement under the Tower of Shadows was satisfying for it being the first Legacy dungeon of the DLC. I don't know for sure if it's the first you're supposed to go through, but it's probably the first most people will go through. I'll give the gameplay a great rating, due to it not being above and beyond, but being a great piece of gameplay to throw the player into the harshness but entertaining aspects of the DLC. The level design isn't the best FromSoft has ever done, but it's very solid for this dungeon. The paths you can take to progress through the area are in abundance. The secrets are definitely hidden and worth it to explore, and there's still probably some stuff I haven't even found the first time playing through it. I also love the desaturated look of the place. The colors are desaturated, the buildings are withered, hell, even the enemies are dreadful and dark. Almost all of them are shadow people. In short, Belurat has amazing level design, as well as amazing environment. I just love the flow of going through Belurat. It's definitely a dungeon I'll remember going through it for its level design and environment. The enemies of Belurat is more than likely the weakest point, but hey, I still can't complain about it. The main enemy type are the shadow guys, and they're alright, I guess. They're not too entertaining to fight, but they fit the mold of the basic but easy enemy to fight in a dungeon. The Horned Warriors were fun, and so is that Curseblade enemy, but man, they're difficult. It still feels like I can't dodge their attacks when I try to refight them. Still, there's solid elite enemies that provide some needed difficulty to the dungeon. And the boss. What a grand fight. It was an absolute joy to attempt to learn the boss's moveset, and having to adapt to the elemental phases the boss goes through as you dwindle down your health was pretty fun. It made a grand spectacle of a fight, and I think the DLC will strive in this. I will give the enemies a great rating, but the boss will have to get an amazing rating. Finally, we have the loot. Okay, I lied about the enemies being the worst part of the dungeon. The loot's alright. The Remembrance for the Dancing Lion can either get you a very specific to use talisman, or a solid Ash of War. The incantation from that person in the storm closet is not too great, but it looks cool, I guess. The Poison Fist is forgettable, but if you're a fist weapon user, then here you go. The Bone Bow is cool. It can be somewhat useful if you're going through a DLC weapons only run, since you can get it pretty early. The talismans you can get are very specific, per a lot of talismans from Elden Ring in general, so the use of them won't shine unless you use them for their specific functions. Still, there are definitely better talismans you can have in your limited slots for them. The Horned Warrior Sword is no doubt the best piece of gear from this dungeon. These dual swords have high damage, and the unique Ash of War on them is awesome. However, for being the first dungeon of the DLC, the gear was pretty lackluster. I hope it gets better as you progress through the rest of the DLC. I'll give the loot and gear an okay rating. So, if we average it out, that means overall, Belurat Tower Settlement gets a great rating. I enjoyed my time with it, and it was an experience dashing my way through this place trying to figure out if I'm even going the right way or not. I think I was, because this is a solid first dungeon for the player to come across during their DLC playthrough. And that's it. I hope everybody enjoyed this episode of Honest Reviews, and I hope to see you enjoying the next Honest Review episode by subscribing. I'll very much appreciate it, of course. Also, I think this is important to say before I go. I finally defeated that stupid boss in the Nameless Mausoleum. Take that, punk. This is Ace speaking. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and as always, peace out.